Welcome back to another episode of Project Purpose. I am back with Kathryn Long, and today we are actually going to be going through a recipe. Let's do this.
And we made some homemade pasta. It's very simple, just olive oil, garlic, and parsley and lemon juice.
Eat local.
Eat local.
Yeah.
Small business.
Small businesses. Support small businesses.
Yeah, farmers market. So a lot of people think that homemade pasta is difficult. It's actually a really simple, easy thing that people have been making for thousands of years. It's literally just flour and eggs, like bare minimum. We threw a little salt and olive oil in there just to make it a little bit more flexible, but yeah, no, very easy. So you just kind of take flour and you do half white flour, half semolina, make a little well in there, crack some eggs in it, and you're gonna slowly whisk it in until it forms like a soft dough.
I remember, through elementary, middle school, high school even, your family loves to cook, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
It's generational.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that kind of we grew up doing, so
Yeah.
it's always kind of been a part of that. It's
Yeah.
our love language. That's what we joke about at home. Because every time anyone comes over or anything happens, we're like, we'll feed them. Like,
Yeah.
we'll make them dinner. We'll bring them, like, some shortcake or something.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how we always loved people, so.
I totally.
Yeah.
My mom's side of the family is the same way. She always talks about like her grandmother. I guess my great grandmother would always. She had a restaurant at some point, I think.
Oh, really?
And so she was always cooking. Even when they weren't at the restaurant. I think it was like a pub,
That's cool.
like an Irish pub, I think.
Nice.
So
I just found out, like, a week ago that my great-grandfather owned a bakery in New York
really,
during the Depression. Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
didn't know that.
Wow.
And my mom told me that.
So then while that dough is resting, we're actually going to get started on our bruschetta, just kind of cutting up the ingredients and throwing the base together. So we're going to start with some cherry tomatoes. I like to use cherry tomatoes because I think it always looks really nice and tends to taste a little fresher. So we're going to use some of those. We're also going to chop up some basil that we actually got fresh from a plant. We're gonna...
Unlike most basil, our basil came from a plant.
True. Yes, fresh basil. Then we're going to chop up some garlic really fine. I actually chopped too much. I remember I chopped too much on
It was good.
this one, so
liked it.
we only used about half of what I ended up chopping up. And then we're pretty much going to throw all of that in the bowl. And we're just going to mix that up together with some olive oil and then salt and pepper to taste. And that's really super simple. And that's what is going to be the bruschetta. And then we're going to add a balsamic glaze at the very end. So then what we're also going to do is we're going to go ahead and prepare our bread.
Yeah.
So we're going to grill it. You could grill it on an actual barbecue. We did it on the stovetop with a griddle. So you're going to take those pieces of bread, olive oil both sides. That'll help it get nice and crispy.
Yeah, a little bit of black is okay.
Yeah.
Like, slightly burnt food is a good thing.
It is. And
Don't be afraid to burn your food.
It'll look really nice and it'll taste really, really great too.
Yeah.
So once those are ready, you can take them off and put them to the side. And we will wait until we're ready to plate to go back to those. If any friends are over, she's always has food out, and that's kind of how she grew up. Her great-grandmother always said, always have too much food. You can never have too much, and you can just send them home with leftovers. And so that's been a big part of my growing up too. It's been food.
I think, like, just throughout, like, history and all the cultures there are, like, food always exists as a love language, like the act of, like, cooking for someone is something that's, like, it's just an act of care.
Yeah, and I mean, it's become such an art at this point too, which I think is really, really interesting. Yeah.
All right, I think what we do next is make all of the ingredients for our pasta that we put in. This recipe is called aglio di olio. It's a sauce that's mostly made of olive oil. 5 simple ingredients, which is garlic, red pepper flakes, lemon juice, parsley, and salt. Very simple. So you want to get everything cut up and ready to go before you even turn the stove on. That's important. You take some parsley, preferably Italian flat leaf parsley, and you want to chop it up as fine as you can.
And tell them about like what you were doing with rolling it. I thought that was really interesting.
With rolling the parsley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's called a chiffonade, and it's a way of slicing herbs very thinly. You basically take all the leaves that you can, and you just kind of roll it into like a little bundle, as tight as you can. And you kind of hold it together with your non-cutting hand,
Mm-hmm.
and then just to hold in place and give it like a really nice thin slice all the way through.
So then once we kind of chopped all of that up, we were ready to pick up our pasta again.
Right, so at this point it's rested for about 30 minutes. So we made about 2 batches, so we cut it in half to make it easier to roll out. And you just take it, and we did ours by hand. If you have a pasta roller, that is 100% easier. That's the easy way to do it. We did it the hard way.
We did. But it was really nice because we wanted to show you that, you don't need a pasta wheel or a pasta machine or any fancy equipment to make fresh homemade pasta at home. So
yeah, you just need a rolling pin and patience.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not, again, super simple. You just want to work it really slowly in an oval kind of shape. You want to be really gentle. You don't want to tear it. And you just kind of keep just working it, just gently and consistently until you can get it about as thin as you can. Ideally, you want to be able to kind of see your shadow through it when you hold it up to the light.
Yeah.
But chunky pasta is okay. Ours is pretty chunky.
Yeah, ours was pretty
It
chunky.
just made it kind of like a cool rustic noodle.
Yeah.
That it ended up being.
Once Kathryn finished with her half, we just repeated the whole process of rolling and cutting with the second batch.
Yeah. You want to make sure when you, after you cut them, you want to flour the little parcels of noodles really well to keep them from sticking to each other, because that's not fun.
Yeah. And then what came next? What did we do next?
Did we cook the pasta?
Then I think the next part was cooking, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so for this one, timing is kind of important. You want to have the olive oil at a low simmer, and you want to have the garlic in there long enough just until it starts browning before you put the noodles in. So the timing is really important on this one. Fresh rolled pasta cooks in about 1 minute. It's very quick, so it's very easy to overcook them, so you want to watch that.
Yeah. As soon as it starts floating up to the surface,
Yeah.
that means it's ready to pull out.
Yeah, make sure you salt your water as well. You want it salty like the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Once the pasta is cooked, it's going to go straight into the pan, right?
Yeah, it goes straight in. And I don't drain it because the starch in the pasta water kind of helps make a more cohesive sauce in the end. So, don't bother draining it. Just put it just straight in there.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And then once it's in there and getting hot, then the parsley goes in, right?
Yeah, parsley, red pepper flakes, squeeze of lemon juice, some salt, fresh black pepper if you want it. Yeah.
And then that's done. And then
That's
the last...
We put cheese on ours, I think.
We did. I
because
think
were
we also
feeling
put
that.
some... You can also put some cheese on top.
You can do what you want,
Yeah.
It's pasta.
So talk to me kind of about your ideal future in food.
In food?
Like, what would you really, really like to do?
Maybe revolution is the right word. Revolution of local use. So much of what, especially here in America, so much of like the food that we encounter and we get is like mass produced and so commercially available everywhere.
Yeah.
And it does harm. It's really harmful ultimately for the economy and for the planet and for ourselves health-wise. So I think that the best thing that you can do for your community and for yourself is to shop locally as much as you can.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for restaurants to reflect that and to support their community in the way that they, get their supplies and their products.
Yeah.
And it also kind of gives back, and it also represents the culture of where they come from and like the people and the land, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
So I would like to see, just locally sourced It's probably the best thing
Yeah.
you can do.
Eat local.
Eat local.
Yeah.
Small business.
Small businesses. Support small businesses.
Yeah, farmers markets. Almost everywhere in America, every state, there's a lot of produce and farm raising. There's a lot of crops. And so almost anywhere you are, if you look, you can find a local farmer to get stuff from.
Yeah. And then the last step of our dish that we created was plating the bruschetta. So all you're going to do is you're going to place those pieces of bread that we have grilled, toasted, and those are going to go straight onto the plate. And then I like to chop up some basil as well for some extra garnish. And
Extra pretty points.
And so then once that's on top, we're just going to drizzle our balsamic glaze, and we are good to go.
Yeah.
And there you have it.
Really good. I ate almost all of the toast that we made.
Oh, yeah. It was good.
It was real good.
Yeah. So there you have it. A simple dish to make at home. Not too crazy, not too hard, and something that really makes it seem like you know what you're doing in the kitchen. So
yeah. And again, like, you can it's very free form. Cooking's all about creativity and adding your own stuff. So I know my sister always puts shrimp in her pasta when she makes this pasta. I like to put like scallops in there, or even just like some ricotta on top. So, go crazy.
Yeah. Do what you want. Have fun. Cooking's for experimenting.
Yeah.
Doing lots of crazy things. It's really cool. You have been watching Project Purpose.
I like it.
So tune in again. Like, subscribe, do whatever. I'll see you next week.